This is The Art Show by Teapotcast with your host Milo H.G. Waters. Made with Zencaster, distributed by Anchor. For more information about this week's artist, check the description below. But now, sit back, pop the kettle on, and enjoy the conversation. Welcome, one and all. It is my pleasure to introduce Nick Ball from Nick Ball and the Wrong Crowd. It is a pleasure to have you here, man. Tell me, what is in your teapot?
Just plain Yorkshire tea. Got it right here. This is my TARDIS teapot that I got for Christmas this year.
It's a beautiful teapot.
Yeah, and this is my M&M mug. I'm a big fan of novelty ceramics, as you can tell.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah, I've just got my my Earl Grey and my really corny live your life mug.
I always find Earl Grey's. I always expected it to be grey the first time I had it. I was quite disappointed.
Yeah, I think it'd be less appealing if it was just this sort of manky grey tea, wouldn't it? Yeah. But so you're headlining the Leeds Cabaret Extravaganza, right? That I've had a little hand in producing, and that's going on this weekend. And I think we should just say a few words about that because it's going to be a really great night. We've got a variety of circus acts, comedy, and music, and it's all for an incredible cause, the Sue Ryder Foundation that offers palliative care. They have a hospice in Leeds. All the tickets, all the proceeds will be going straight there. And if anybody listening, watching would fancy coming along, it's going to be a great night, and we'd love to see you there. And thank you to you for headlining it, man. We're really happy to have you. So tell us a little bit about the Wrong Crowd. Like, how did you guys get together? How did it all start for you?
So I used to kind of play music as almost like background music in pubs and restaurants and stuff like that. And then as sort of work dried up in pubs and I was doing the same circuit, I ventured out to doing weddings. And I was usually I wasn't the main entertainment for the wedding. It'd be like during the meal or before the bride walks down the aisle and stuff like that. And I met these guys because they were doing the evening entertainment. They were the full band. And it was this really posh wedding. I did the music during the meal, and these guys were the entertainment. And basically the band came on and I was still there, just packing my stuff away, having a drink. And this father of the bride was really, really posh, got really angry, wasn't impressed with the music. I don't know whether it's like an age thing, but the music was loud. It was rock music. And
with you or with the band?
No, this was the band. So this was before I kind of knew them. And he was like, no, this is rubbish. Get off stage. And then pointed at me and was like, you get back here. And I was playing like, I don't know, sort of what I would call really boring music, like Travis and Coldplay, that just kind of is there to please people as background music, and maybe might appeal more to an older generation because it's a bit more calming. And he was like, you're going to get back on stage and you're going to play. And it was a very awkward interaction, and I ended up talking to the lads afterwards. And that's how I initially met them. And I was at a stage where I was a bit bored of doing my own thing, so I just kind of asked, would you be willing to help me out, do some recording on some tracks, just as kind of playing drums, bass, guitar? And that's kind of how it started. We went into a studio. I recorded 2 tracks with them, and then we were like, oh, would you be willing to do a live show as well? And it just kind of carried on from that.
Right. Well, that's fantastic. I mean, that's a great story to start in a band. So we've got a couple of your tracks here. I was thinking we could maybe start off, play a little sample with Electricity, and and then we can talk a bit about that.
Waking up to see that face again. It's kinda rough, this feeling on my skin.
Yeah, I mean it's really cool, man. It's like it's do you know
Thank you.
what? I hate using this term because it's just so nebulous, but indie rock is the term that comes to mind. But I'm really interested in just sort of hearing about your influences and how this kind of sound came together because it's got this kind of like really distinctive like there's a hardness in there, a little bit of sort of like a little bit of Killers, a little bit of Stereophonics, that kind of vibe. But there's definitely your own twist there. So yeah, could you just tell us a little bit about sort of how this sound came about?
In terms of the sound, it's a bit of a weird one. Like I've I've heard the Killers, I've heard the Stereophonics before, which I'm completely fine with. But when I started out writing music, I never had the intention of like I want it to sound like this band. And throughout kind of years, I've had very different influences. Like I started probably listening to pop punk music like Green Day and My Chemical Romance, then all the way through to like singer songwriters like Ed Sheeran and James Bay and George Ezra. And as it came to like band music, I just wrote songs. People dived in, and it's going to sound really like it's going to sound like such a lie, but it just kind of made that sound itself. And that particular song, I remember thinking in our set, oh, we haven't got we need like an upbeat, really driving song to maybe start the set with, which I think would,
Yeah.
probably like the last 7 times of gig, that's the first song we play, because it just seems like a good opening track. And that's, I guess, where the closest thing I can say about the sound is it comes from wanting a good opening track to start the set with, and it kind of just being quite punchy and powerful.
Yeah, man, for sure. Well, yeah, I mean, you definitely need something to get people moving at the start of a set, don't you? But like, how does it work with you and the band members? Like, do you sort of all have a hand in writing? Like, what's your process like? How do you put these things together?
It's changed a bit from the start. So I used to just write on a guitar vocals, sort of have an idea in the back of my mind how things are going to sound. But then I'd take that guitar track, that vocal track to the band, and they'd be like, "What do you think of this? Can you add your bit, like, kind of your take on it and bits?" But as it's gone through, I've become really kind of more obsessive and kind of decided that one day I'm just going to write the bass part because I've come up with a cool bass part, and now I'm going to write the drums as well. And it doesn't stay strictly true to those kind of demos that I make myself in my bedroom. Like I'll take the track to a drummer because I'm not a drummer, and he'll come up with something miles better than what I can write. Um, but it depends on the song. If I'm really at like a lost kind of like brick wall of where to go with it, I can take it to one of the band members and they'll help me out. But sometimes I'm like, right, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to write everything for this track, and that'll be it. So it depends, I guess, is the short answer to that question.
No, that's fair, yeah, and yeah, I think that's the best way to do it. You've got to keep it fluid, keep it adaptable, haven't you? Because otherwise, it starts sounding very stiff and samey. And yeah, there's certainly a fair bit of variety in your music, and I really like that. So,
Thanks,
didn't you
man.
guys have a big show in Manchester that was supported by the BBC? Am I right in this?
Yeah, so it was what, November. I got a call from a lady who was just like, "Yeah, I've seen your music video, and we want to play a song on BBC Radio too," which was really crazy because there wasn't any link there to Radio 2 before. And this music video, I just shot myself on my iPhone of us basically going on tour. This is what we get up to, and it's 3 minutes 30, and it got shared like over 50 times on Facebook without kind of any sponsored ads or in like paid engagement. And it just got word of mouth passed through there. And then we played this gig, it got played on Radio 2. Like before the song was played, it was like, and Nipple and the Wrong Crowd have got this gig playing in Manchester. It was all a bit crazy where it came from, but it was awesome. And we sold out the gig like, what, the day after we put it on sale, which we've never done before. It was mad.
Wow, that's brilliant. So yeah, it just totally just kind of snowballed from like a
Mm.
just odd chance somebody hearing your music and really liking it, and yeah, just going from there. That's
Yeah,
really
and
cool,
then
man. Really cool.
Yeah, and since then, like the lady who got us played, she's absolute gem. She's like, if you got any more tracks, send them to me first. Try and get you played. I think we've been played on Radio 2 like 3 times now, and she's a big supporter of us. And she'll do anything to like try and get us to in touch with the right people to get the band hopefully bigger. So
Yeah, man, that's great. So it kind of sounds like you've sort of stumbled into a manager, like without having to
I
go looking for one, kind of.
I don't know because she mainly works completely in radio,
Mm.
and it's like she's a producer of Radio 2, and that's how we got in. But she knows managers, which fingers crossed, you know.
Hey, yeah.
If we produce more tracks that she likes, then hopefully things will head in the right way.
Yeah, well, I'm sure they will, man. I mean, what's on the horizon for you guys at the moment? Because obviously, like the lockdown and everything has kind of put a bit of a damper on live performance. But yeah, do you have anything lined up? Any plans for the future?
Yeah, so we're going to the studio in a week and a half, which is like the first time in about a year we've been allowed to go into like a recording studio, which is it's gonna feel so weird. I think just I'll get emotional with the amount of normality I can feel that day. And then we have a gig. Obviously, we've got the Leeds Cabaret Extravaganza coming up.
Yeah.
What is it? You know, this weekend, and then we've got a socially distanced gig in July in Manchester, and then
Okay.
the big one, which we're hoping will go ahead. It'll be like 250 capacity. Is the Star and Garter on the 29th of November, but that's like so far away, and we don't know whether 250 people will be allowed in a room. Just got to play it by ear, I guess. So
Yeah, and I mean that's the trouble at the moment. It's just there's so much uncertainty around, isn't there?
mhm.
It's really difficult to plan ahead. But yeah, where's this one in July happening? Can you say any more specifically the
Yeah,
Manchester
no,
gig?
it's at a place called Lock 91 on Deansgate, Manchester, and I'm gonna check my calendar because I've got too many dates in there to remember. I'm pretty sure it's the 22nd of July. I'm gonna find out. It's the 22nd of July. I'm right. And like
Hey, spot on.
I just sort of looked at the Instagram post there and the captions "fingers crossed" because even socially distanced ones, it's like you say, you can't predict what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's so tricky at the moment. I mean, yeah, I've been trying to get stuff going over lockdown. It's just felt like hammering my head into a brick wall. So to finally have something going on, even if it is just even online, it's really really good. Feels great to be getting back into it. But man, like the diary has just been so empty for so long. And now it's started to fill up. It's just like, oh god, I've forgotten what it's like to actually have a schedule and have to check things and know when stuff is happening.
I feel like it's going to be like we're going to live about 2 years in the space of 2 months, and it's
Yeah,
the way things are going to go. It's like everything's getting rescheduled. It's like, oh, we're going to push everything to October, November, December, and
yeah.
I'll be going to loads of gigs. I'll hopefully be playing loads of gigs. Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a mental end to the year if all goes to plan.
Yeah, and I think we need that. I think everything's been well, yeah, locked down. The lid's off now. Like everybody, everybody just wants to do as much as they can, make up for all that lost time. Do you have any gigs in particular that you want to get to? Anything specifically caught your eye?
I'm trying to think. I've got ones booked. I really want to go to a festival though. That is my like. Yeah, it's basically my summer holiday going to festivals. And last year was the first year in about 6 years I haven't gone to one. Ideally, my choice of festival would be Glastonbury.
Oh yeah,
It's the best place in the world for me.
yeah.
But what about yourself? Have you got anything that you really want to get to?
So I'm kind of broke at the moment, which is putting a bit of a hamper on my summer plans. But so I booked a this thing in Manchester that was God Festival of the Dead. That was it. So it was like this big like kind of circus and music night in Manchester that was supposed to be happening last year or the year before. I think it's just been pushed back and pushed back. So hopefully that's going down in November. this year, and I'm really hoping to get to that.
Fingers crossed,
But
then.
yeah, fingers crossed, definitely. Yeah, I mean, other than that, there's the Fringe Festival happening in Buxton where I live, and yeah, I'll hopefully be getting around that. Got a few things going on there, but yeah, we'll see. I need to make some money first before I buy any tickets, to be honest. Yeah. So we've got another track of yours here. So this is Tomorrow. So yeah, how about we play a little sample of that
Yeah,
and
cool. Go.
yeah, see what we make of it.
Lying down with a wire sagging at your feet. You sense every desire but feel no defeat. I'm trying to find a way to stop you feeling like ends meet. Well, try and try till the end of the week. And you spend your days waiting more and more. We'll be waiting for tomorrow. Tomorrow. We're going out.
So it's funny because you were saying about the first track, Electricity, I think it was, that you needed something kind of pumping to start your set, get a lot of energy in there. Seems a lot of your stuff is quite high energy. I feel like I could have a boogie to any of it, to be honest. Like it's all pretty toe tapping. But yeah, like I mean, yeah, I love it, man. There's just something great about that, like that really heavy drum beat and the you know, the big group
Yeah.
Tomorrow kind of thing. Like really, you know, sounds like a really good sort of moving big stadium crowd pleaser kind of thing. Yeah, and it's great to see music with so much energy to it as well. Like, I mean, how like what's the experience of performing live for you? Like, you know, do you kind of do you get moving? Like, do you really like to get the crowd pumping? Do you improvise a lot? What's it like to you compared to recording in a studio?
It's very different. Like in terms of recording a shoot, I do enjoy it because it's like a place where you can write and just completely change songs. But once those songs are recorded, it feels like they can't be edited or changed. They're released, and whereas I absolutely love kind of being on stage, and that version of Tomorrow we do it's like an end bit with the what are O's, and we carry that on for ages, get the crowd singing and clapping as much as possible. But for me, performing on stage, I don't know, it's like the meat and drink for me. It's the bit I love more than anything. I have the kind of attitude that you've got to walk into the, whether you're headlining, whether you're the support act, you've got to walk on stage as if everyone's there not to see you, and you're there to win everybody over. So I try and, don't get me wrong, I'm sure I make a dick of myself sometimes, but I will try and to cover every square inch of that stage. Like I want to be like the most energetic frontman possible, as if I am playing a stadium, and I need to hit the person right at the back of the venue as much as I do right at the front of the stage. So yeah.
Yeah. No, I love that. I really appreciate that attitude actually. Because yeah, I mean, I think it can sometimes feel with the, you know, with like really big artists, you know, who've kind of like gotten a very like easy start into the industry. They've been doing it for a long time. It can feel like sometimes they take the crowd for granted, or you get some front men who are kind of very like, you know, they're there to kind of show off kind of thing. And I think having that appreciation for your audience and going in like, no, you're here to convince these people to like you, to really give them something that's valuable, that's going to make their night. Yeah, I think that's really admirable actually, and yeah, really great for you to kind of go into it like that.
I mean, I don't know what you think, but like when I go to a gig, the bands that I really enjoy seeing are the ones that like Dave Grohl, Foo Fighters, amazing frontman, just like runs up and down like Brandon Flowers, The Killers, Bruce Springsteen. I love watching the people who like make the audience just like put a smile on their face, dance, make them clap, and like you say, you do get the ones who just kind of stand there, play the music, and then walk off. I can't understand it, but yeah.
Nah, doesn't make sense. But yeah, no, I totally get that. I mean, probably my favorite gig that I've ever been to was for my 18th birthday. Me and my friend went to see James
Oh yeah,
when they reunited. Yeah, on their first tour after they reunited, and I can remember like we're waiting for them to come on, and then we start hearing the trumpet going, and no one's on stage, and we're looking around, and then we see like Tim Booth and I've forgotten his name, the guy who plays the trumpet, like coming out like at the back of the audience in
oh yeah.
Manchester Stadium and like walking through the audience playing this trumpet to oh god, the song name's gone out of my head now, but it was just so great, like just such a surprise in that moment. Like, we start hearing the music, looking around like, oh my god, there he is, he's right next to me.
I
But
love
yeah,
Tim Booth as well. He's a great dancer.
yeah, he really, yeah, he is. I love his dancing, man. And like anybody can stage dive. Like his thing where like he walks out into the audience, and keeps his balance. How the hell he keeps his balance
Yeah.
doing that is beyond me. But yeah, that was probably one of my favorite experiences of live music. I mean, do you have any that like really stand out? You mentioned a couple of frontmen that you really like, but are there any sort of like particular gigs or experiences with live music that really stand out to you?
I've got two. So like one was when I was about what 12. I went to go and see Green Day, and I was just absolutely mesmerized by Billy Joe Armstrong, just the way he controlled that crowd. Um, like that, it wasn't one of those moments where I looked and went like, "That's what I want to do," kind of thing. But I look back on it, I think it was one of the moments that I thought I really want to do music, and I've kind of never been that much in awe of a musician. And the second one is my favorite gig ever. Was Foo Fighters headlining Glastonbury. Like it
Yeah,
felt like just this weird. I think because I was probably like kind of uh, not like halfway back, but kind of in the middle. So I was surrounded by a lot of people, and just everybody seemed to be singing the words, and it felt like kind of a really nice sense of community watching this band absolutely smash a headline set, and everyone felt like a proud dad kind of watching them. So they're my two moments of kind of going to gigs.
yeah. No, for sure. And yeah, it's interesting you mentioned the word community because I think that is such an important part of live performance, especially in this day and age where like, even before the pandemic where everyone was, locked in their houses, like we're spending so much more time online. It feels like we're more connected to people on the other side of the world than we are people down the street from us. And I think as an artist, as a performer, one of the best things that you're giving people is an opportunity to be in the same place, shoulder to shoulder, sharing an experience that you've all chosen to come and enjoy for whatever reason. And I think that is really, really important in our day and age. Like, yeah, I mean, like, how do you sort of see? This is maybe a bit of a big question, but how do you see the future of sort of music and live performance sort of like yes post lockdown but also sort of like just 21st century because obviously there's been so many shake-ups with streaming services and YouTube and the way sort of bands get big and things has changed. Like, yeah, I was just wondering, yeah, do you have any thoughts on that?
It's a grey area for
Mm.
me, and I answered this question like in a previous interview. It's There's two things I think about Spotify. One, it's great for me and my band because we can like reach America and New Zealand and Australia in a way that when, I don't know, 20 years ago, the only way to kind of get our music out there was selling CDs at a gig. And okay, yeah, we might make 50 quid at the end of the night, but relatively between four people, that's still not much money at all.
Yeah.
So there is the benefit of like, yeah, I can. So our guitarist, his cousin lives in New York, and we can get our music to them the minute it gets released. The other thing is the downside is, yeah, obviously, like artists don't get paid at all, and they kick off about kind of, oh, we're getting 0.03p a stream or whatever. But I also find it really ironic. A lot of those artists kick off; they have a Spotify account, and if you're really that bothered, don't pay into a system that you're like kind of so against. I think
Yeah.
it might change my mind if we were to make a step up and be like a kind of professional band, not playing arenas but playing kind of 1,000 capacity venues, because then that's at a point where previously you would be selling CDs and actually making money from records. But even then, like record labels still dominated the majority of that money. So if you take a £10 CD, the artist was only getting a quid anyway. And there's other alternatives like things like Bandcamp where you can actually make 100% or I think it's 80% of the money.
I've not heard of Bandcamp. Sorry, could you tell us a bit about that? Like,
I haven't actually used it myself. It's a lot of artists that use it are like kind of, I guess, kind of like the old indie artists that maybe got dropped from their record label and kind of, I think there was another thing that was similar to crowdfunder where you'd pay in to kind of making the record. So, like, say the band needed £2,000, people would pledge that they'll give a tenner, and as soon as the record's made, they get a CD, but they give the money in advance for the band to make the record. Bandcamp's, I guess, similar. That say a band that I don't know, like around the similar time of like the Arctic Monkeys came out, so like the Fratellis or like Razorlight. Say Razorlight got dropped from their label, they can go, oh, well, we're going to put our record on Bandcamp and you can buy it for a tenner and we actually get the money this time, rather than putting it on a streaming service, getting nothing, or releasing a CD with a record label and still getting nothing. So there is alternatives there. I think it's really hard to predict what the music industry is going to look like because Spotify keeps on getting bigger, and they got the ability to basically become a record label and promote their own artists, because playlisting for Spotify is so big now. They could go, right, we're going to sign this person and we're going to put them on all the top playlists and they'll become basically a megastar. Why on earth I don't think they've done that yet, I don't know.
No, I mean, that's a really interesting point actually, because that would be so easy for them to do now, wouldn't it? Like, if you just you just kind of favoring the algorithms to the artists that they've signed. Like, you're on all the playlists now. Congratulations. Like, but I think that's the way to go though. Like, because I mean, I'm not a musician, so my opinion is probably not worth a whole lot on this. But I would imagine Spotify and and YouTube and things like that are a great way to sort of get yourself out there. But then once you start developing that core of fans, that core fan base, then what you can do now that you couldn't do so easily so long ago is the stuff you're talking about with Bandcamp and stuff. You can sell directly to your audience, and there was I can't think now. There was a rapper that my friend reposted from. I'll try and find the post and put it in a link, but he was saying, you don't need hundreds and thousands of fans all over the world anymore. You just need a few thousand really devoted fans who really like you and are really committed. And if they're buying your stuff directly, then, you can make a living off that. And, Spotify and all the other stuff is just there to get you out there even more. And, if you get 10 people listening to your stuff on Spotify, maybe only one of them is gonna actually go to your website and buy something from you, but that's still gonna mount up, And so I think it is gonna be positive in the long run, but I think the business models are changing, and I think as artists, in all fields, we have to adapt to them. But yeah, I think it's getting there.
It's an odd one because when I decided I want to be a musician, like it's not something I genuinely thought I'd be signing up for. Is thinking about, well, how my music gets out there, and what are my thoughts on kind of street. There's like loads of other things, like social media plays such a massive part now. Like it almost like you think you need to have a trend or have a viral video, and that helps you get out there. And I never signed up to be this personality that needs to be on social media going, oh, I'm going to make a funny video or come up with an inventive idea. I don't mind doing it, but it's just it's so weird from just like maybe when people were in the 60s, and if you played a guitar and sang, you sort of got somewhere.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, even sort of maybe getting past the 60s a little bit. It was, amongst the mainstream artists, it was all about sort of having that personality and that brand and selling that, but it was all done through, tabloid exposure, getting in the papers. Oh, what's Mick Jagger been up to this week, kind of thing. And now, again, you can do that directly through social media and through these followings. But I mean, as a front man, does that not kind of play to your strengths a bit? Because, I know a lot of musicians who are... they're just there for the music kind of thing. They're not there to kind of like, I don't want to say show off because that's not what I'm on about. But I mean, you know what I mean? They just sort of like, you know what I mean? They want to get up and they want to play their music, and that's kind of like all the attention they want. Like I know Creedence Clearwater. Really like.
I agree with the show off thing. Like that, like it's going to sound really egotistical, but I'm on stage. I know I'm showing off. Like it's the one thing I think I'm good at. So like I know it sounds big headed, but I want to show off. I want to show people what I can do. So no, I think there's no problem saying show off. In terms of like the social media thing, like it's weird because I think I can be a front man and I can, try and entertain people. And I think, but like social media, it's almost about being like a comedian. I think Lewis Capaldi is a really good example of that. That his music, it's really quite depressing. It's like breakup songs, but his social media, it's absolutely amazing. Like the things he says, and he's hilarious. I don't think it is it's the way you kind of look at it. It can be a problem, and it can be a benefit. If you get like, if I was to make a video now, put it on social media, and it got thousands and thousands of views, of course I wouldn't complain about having to do social media. It's coming up with the ideas and kind of like sitting down for like a good hour each week going, well, this is what we're going to post and this is what we're going to post. I guess like 20 years ago when Facebook was just starting, and that was kind of the first big social media front runner. Like bands didn't have to think about this. They had a MySpace page with the music at the top and just the bio. That was like the only thing they had to think about. So, yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah, it is. Yeah, it is really interesting how it's changing and how that's excuse me. Now that's affecting things. Oh my gosh, my throat has gone. Right, there we go. I'm back. But yeah, so I mean, have you guys done any like sort of big tours yet, or has it all just sort of been like odd venues here and there?
It's been kind of odd venues here and there. We tried to branch out as much as possible. I think like we started off just by doing like hometowns of where band members are from. So drummers from Leeds, bass players from London, but we haven't actually played London yet. That's a weird one. And like played Sheffield, Liverpool, Manchester. So it's just like different cities where we can get to, and trying to bunch them all together in 1 week so we don't have to space it out too much.
Yeah, man. No, fair play. Yeah, I'm really sorry for my throat going. This is like I only finished building this place the other week, and I think it's it's full of dust. I've had to drill a few holes in the plaster, and yeah, I think it all needs a clean out. Yeah, so do you like? I'm guessing you guys record in a proper studio that you go and rent, and that is that right for you, or do you have like a home studio somewhere?
No, so weirdly, when we go into the studio next week, that is like the first time we'll have gone in a big studio for about 3 years. Before that, we kind of we recorded with a student, and we weren't completely happy with like the results and the sound we were getting.
Yeah.
So I ended up supporting someone solo in like a gig in Stockport. That this artist that I supported Frank Turner, like, and that's how I found out about him. And I ended up supporting him because in the day he was like, "Oh, I'm going to do this songwriting workshop. If anyone wants to come, you can come." And 5 people turned up, and I was the only one who turned up with a guitar. And he just said, "You've brought a guitar. Why don't you play a song?" So like this person who I've seen on a massive stage supporting Frank Turner, like, "You play a song." And I nervously played one of my songs. And then afterwards, I just had the balls to say, "Well, if you need a support act tonight, I'm free." And I really didn't think that was going to come out of my mouth when I said it, but I said it. And he went, "Yeah, sure." And ever since then, like, he's been really good to us. I emailed him saying, "This is the songs we've got. What do you think of them?" And he said, "Come to come to my studio, which is literally the size of what my bedroom, but it makes it sound completely massive. Like the songs you've played, like I think what's more important is the person behind the desk producing it rather than the studio that it's being made in. So it's a tiny room. We all go in individually, play our bit, and then sit in a room, like, and just wait for each other to finish, and that is it. We go home, and then this time will be the first time we're in a big studio. He's coming with us, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, man. Well, yeah, that's fantastic. Like, and yeah, I mean, it's always amazed me like how much you can actually do with sorry, this has really got to my throat. But yeah, it's always amazed me how much you can do with a small space with limited equipment in terms of sound recording, because there's so much. It's so accessible these days. Like, I mean, I got all my equipment off eBay, and the bits for the studio I kind of got secondhand and this, that, the other here and there. But yeah, really cool, man. Really cool. So yeah, I think we're about ready to finish up. Is there anything else you kind of want to leave us on? Any sort of, tell you what I'd like to ask you. Because you guys are really like on the up right now. Do you have any advice for people who are starting out, trying to get somewhere? Because I think you did touch on something really good when you said about you just asked this guy, "Do you need a support act?" And I think that's really important for all artists and creatives to don't be afraid to ask, put yourself out there, have the confidence, because you never know what's going to come of it. But yeah, anything sort of specifically from you?
I mean, I've only been asked that once before, and it's a really weird situation to be in. Someone asking me for advice when I don't really feel like I've done a lot myself. I think the only thing I can say is just keep like a good, what's the word? Keep a good momentum, because once the momentum stops, that's when you kind of fall out of wanting to do things. So and that's what we were trying to do before the lockdown. And we had like a whole plan for the year of like, we're going to do a gig this bit, we're going to release a single, we're going to do a gig a month later after the single. So once you've got a plan, so you can plan out your year, plan where the singles are going to come, plan where the gigs are going to come, and then as well as that, you'll be doing your social media. You want to be posting, like, if you've released a single, you want to be posting every day, because there's always a chance with algorithms on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, that out of the 800 followers you might have, 500 might miss that post because it doesn't work out the way you want to, because you're pretty much advertising, and Facebook has people paying for adverts. So momentum, keep posting, keep doing gigs, plan out your year, keep doing singles. Once that momentum stops, that's when things become difficult. And then if you keep working hard, then you'll meet more people, the opportunities come. Yeah, that's what all I can say.
Well, I think that's a fantastic note to end on there. So yeah, thanks very much, Nick Ball from Nick Ball and the Wrong Crowd. And yeah, if people want to catch you, tune into the Leeds Cabaret Extravaganza. I'll put some posts up about that on the T Podcast page. And yeah, I wish you all the best, man, and good luck with the rest of the year. And yeah, it's been great having you, dude.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure, Mile. I appreciate it, mate.
Cheers. All right, bye then.
Bye.